And welcome back. Like I didn't even leave my chair, by the way. Now I'm just gonna say that I got to see the trophies for First Division NLC. I lift one of them. They're heavy. They're like proper trophies. Okay, I'm just gonna say this. They feel really heavy. They're really cool. So I'm really excited. Now, looking into Division 2, we have another game. It is a banger as well. It's going to be Domino versus Munster Rugby Gaming, the team that was almost undefeated, but teams have finally got a hold of the weakness and they're tearing down the wall of Munster Rugby Gaming. Is it going to happen again? I don't know. And tell me the stakes of this game, Jamada. I know these are high stakes.
Yeah, no, talking about the stakes in a sec, it really did feel like once Rate, took down Munster. I don't know if anyone's been playing Elden Ring, but great enemy has been felled. That's really what it felt like for them, breaking that 11 win streak. And I wonder now for Munster and talking about the stakes, because for them, realistically, it's just about continuing to stay first place, right? The stakes for them haven't really changed for a little while. However, for Domino, especially seeing Lightside just lose, uh, it's an opportunity to, like Rate just did, open up the gap, make sure the buffer is now still 2 games between them and Lightside, and also, keep pace with that sort of what is starting to form as this top 6 potentially. But Munster Rugby, it's going to be a tough opposition no matter how you slice it. And maybe even after a win, they might be a little bit angry. And really, we might see, I won't say necessarily unhinged gameplay or anything like that, because Munster have much been a by the books League of Legends team. But maybe we see a little more discipline to ensure that they are making the correct calls on the map, not losing out too much on cross maps and things like that, which Domino honestly have done quite well when they've been ready and prepared for it, as we've flown through these picks and bans, and Jinx has been banned on red side, which is maybe eyeing up Domino to go for that Aphelios first pick. But Thresh is off the table, so I would expect Sidon to lean on the Sims. Oh, I love it, man.
I don't
And,
know.
and I will say, Archer, the Munster guys are a lot more caught up on Div 1. So if you see them all hover, and I know that for a fact, so if you see them all hover Pantheon, you know they've been watching the very last second swap over to Karma,
Can
of
I
course.
say something? I think what we did with the pension thing is actually the best we got pension out. Like we're spreading the word of pension, and this is the best pension has in the past for 2 years, I guess, something like that. Like this is the best over pension has got so far. So I'm just gonna say we're doing really good work. So yeah.
And I love, you guys can't hear our producer ever, but he just said, time to nerf Pantheon in our ears.
No, not again.
As
Stop, please.
not again,
He's
stop.
already
But
bad.
returning to the draft, obviously we actually get a Karma first pick. So this does mean that if Munster want to, they can just go for this, Zinzal rotation here too if they want to. But Caboose is more or less lent on the Viego more times than not. And that will actually just end up being the lock-in. And now I expect Sidon on the opposite end to actually pick up that jungler, and maybe from Chris we just end up seeing Jin, because he is actually a very, very capable Jin player. And he was one of the first, at least in our league, to start playing it quite consistently. They're gonna do it top to bottom. I know they are. It's gonna pain you. And the worst part is you never know, because Domino are the kind of team, given what they've drafted, especially towards the beginning of the split, to lock in something like Pantheon with a whole bunch of chain CC alongside it. But I don't think we will necessarily end up seeing it. Ryze gets locked in, expecting the jungle to follow here, as I wouldn't get too excited about this one with the Ryze already being there. More likely to see a top or a jungle here for Rift or Sidon.
If I may, if you think this is pain, it is not. This is one of the best feelings because people are watching and people are having fun, and that to me is the best that I could get. And that is Trundle in the jungle, apparently, versus the Viego. I do not dislike this at all. I love it. Oh my gosh!
We're gonna giggle at it every time, but I would expect. He's not gonna do it. I would expect either support here for Baloo, or we would actually get an Anivia game out of Chimera. Which honestly, seeing what we're looking at, it's not a bad time for the Anivia right now. There's not too much hard engage. Going to remove away one mobile AD carry, and what I wouldn't mind seeing, unless they're gonna go for it on 4, is actually the removal of something like Ornn or something like Malphite and hard engage top lane. Because you look at the draft right now for Domino. You've got Karma, which is either going top or bot. You can, I suppose, thin out the support role a bit, but you're probably going to pick up the supports yourself anyway. And Stumpy, I guess this is what I'm saying. You can kind of just go on or Malphite yourself. So ban one, pick the other, and you're very much happy, and you remove away those top lane engage options. And all of a sudden, this Anivia pick becomes super oppressive because you're running effectively a run at you comp into Anivia. It's never going to work out in your favor. But instead, they're just going to remove away 2 AD carries from Chris. I think that makes sense. But the Varus and the Ezreal, I think more towards, allowing Chimera to trap in an immobile AD carry. The Varus makes sense 1-to-1, but now you're still going to give Chris his Jhin, most likely, which I think is his strongest looking performing AD, in my opinion. So let's see how they play around it, as Malphite will be taken away on actually Domino's end. So now if Munster want to, and they do care a lot about the bottom lane, they can just blind pick Stumpy's pick. I think that would make the most sense in more cases than not. But we'll see whether or not they go for something like that on or a frontliner that can just kind of do the role of, well, tanking up, soaking up damage, and they will just go for this Gnar blind.
I mean, you have the Gnar, you have the Anivia. That is a perfect combo in a team fight if you can pair it up. If you have the communication between people, you set up a wall and you smash everybody against the wall, no matter where you are. So communication is important for this combo. It is a lovely one. They might go for the early game bot lane. That's a lot of damage if they have the Karma alongside with anything. But okay, reveal the way that the Karma is going to be top, I guess, versus the Gnar as you have the Nautilus support.
It can still technically end up bot in Chris's hands, I
Karma
suppose. But
Nautilus?
yeah, Karma Nautilus in the bottom side. But I'm still expecting that we end
We're
up getting a lot.
developing, a
Yeah,
culture. We got a culture going on
we've
the
got some
NLC.
cultured coaching staff and players here on the Domino side, as Akshan gets locked in. So I guess in theory, this can still technically be Akshan bot, but we very much still see Akshan primarily in the solo lanes here. So looking more at side lane gameplay, we still have an engage option via Den if we're looking at lockdown and damage, as Munster, honestly, Tom Kench pick wouldn't be too bad here if you ask me. It's more or less a single target removal comp from Domino at the moment. Depth charge is only really going to focus on one person. You can always eat them up. Even if you soak up the knock up yourself, you're protecting your carry from getting that bit of CC put onto them. So quite a fan of what Munster put together. Very standard with the exception of that Anivia, but Chimera always seems to make it look like it should be meta in the first place, unless he's playing against very strong teams where he actually, for a very long time, despite his it's his namesake champion, really, he didn't pick up a win until about 6 games into Anivia in his pro career. Fun little fact there. But it does look like we are going to end up seeing this Karma in the bottom lane into the Aphelios and the Tahm Kench. So expect to have a lot of priority down there. Ripped should get a lot of time from Sidon as well. So what I'm hoping to see from Domino is a lot of priority from down in the bottom lane, move that into Shaolin's lane, and then eventually even maybe try and transition that up towards that top side, get Ripped an individual lead. Munster, they very often do just kind of let Stumpy to his own devices whilst they try and funnel resources into Merbs. If he's never allowed to leave his tower, that's going to be a difficult thing to do. So I hope as the response for Munster, they try and play, especially once we hit level 6, all the way for clear comes in for Anivia, try and get down to the bottom side of the map, try and unleash Merbs and Baloo a little bit so they can get some resources back if this is the expected outcome of a hard shove from the bottom lane.
Monster are looking to just keep themselves in first, just negate any approach from the remaining teams. While on the other side, it's about okay, we gotta get some distance. We gotta get some distance. This is a perfect day, so let's move on. Let's just let him eat our dust as we move along. So this is a perfect game for both teams. One to be secure, the other one to actually get some security as well. I gotta say, I'm really happy. I cannot stop smiling. Just the over is more than enough for my happiness. Like my coffee of happiness is at top. So this is good, Jamal. This is good. I actually thought it was going to be Rice top versus the Gnar because it actually kind of works. And they have the action
Yep.
versus the Anivia. So if there's a wall, you can just hook the wall and do and deal with that. So
This is good,
I
Ultra.
would
I
love
like
the
that.
idea, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
But
like the idea of that. Beg your pardon. It could have worked. Honestly, I think it could have worked. But
I'm a weird guy, so.
yeah, I know. But it seems like this is the lane assignments that we ended up with. And again, moving into the mid game, I think this is a much more standard draft compared to what we saw on Tuesday for Munster, because the Munster draft on Tuesday, it was definitely a bit peculiar. It wasn't really to their typical MO. They weren't really playing towards the mid-game team fights because their damage just wasn't really there like how if they had a Jinx or if they had an Aphelios. They had the Ezreal, they had the Ahri. It was very much more pick orientated, but it wasn't quite that either. No, at least in my opinion, working off pure memory, no true identity. This one very much, kite back, wait for an opportunity to try and move forward. Let Domino try and come into us with whatever engage options they do have. In this case, it is just Den on this Nautilus. And into into an Anivia, it's going to be really difficult without more than one engage option. So Munster, once they move into the mid game, they're going to feel good about it if they ever do get an objective lead in the early game in particular. But Domino looking to play the side lanes more than anything with Ripped, with their eyes, and ensure
The
that
Rift is
Munster never really
already
get a 5v5.
online. So, do we get any surprise in terms of Keystone? Press the attack on both top and jungle for Domino. On the other side, it's mostly about that fleet footwork. You not only need some sort of sustain in line versus the Akshan, but also to get some additional movements. It could be crucial in the late game. Then you get the phase brush on both these mid liners. So they're going to be fast. It's going to be a fast Anivia, a fast Bird as well. On the other side, Shaolin just wants to get some movement. I miss those days where you got the rise with the water walking and all that early movement speed, so you can just push as much as you can and roam to the top, to the bot, try to get some sort of lead. I miss those days.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But these days, it's more about things like the Gathering Storm, or if Shaolin is a Scorch believer, I'll feel quite upset with him.
Where do you put yourself?
Where do I put myself?
Storm or Scorch?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Gathering Storm normally just provides you with more over the course of a game. If you think about it like this, unless you're playing a hard kill lane and you so happen to have the sorcery tree, and you need Scorch to, just chip out, find more damage over the course of your trading patterns, then sure. But more value typically comes from Gathering Storm. That's a pretty nice hook onto Merbs. We'll eat a fair amount of HP, but then we'll trade it out on a little bit. Longsword into 3 pots, so Merbs with the red gun as well. Gonna feel quite comfortable getting his health back up. Chris and Denden, however, gonna hit level 2 first. See if they make anything of it.
Oh, can you deal damage with this bot lane? I think it's more about chipping away the Chris and Denden for Domino than taking some sort of kill. You need to get them low, and since Merbs has access to the sustain weapon, it's going to be really hard to take away this kill to the bot side. Mid lane, though, it's Chimera trying to poke as much as he can with the Anivia, getting some sort of extra help from the jungler that was taking a peek, but now they know the positioning. And look at Stumpy, level 1 versus level 3 already. This Gnar is just starving on the top side.
Yeah, that he is. And that is just the irritating part about playing against an Akshan and Sidon hovering there. Stumpy just has to respect, and he's just missing so many waves now. Another wave crashing into. Where's going to get a nice trade in the mid lane. And finally, Stumpy's able to walk back up to the tower, but damage already done. 5 CS to 16. XP missed, and Sidon's actually walking underneath the tower. They're just looking to dive him straight up.
They want to dive, but the Regis then is going to hop on him. He flashes away, but way too late. First blood is already being secured. They're looking for Chimera. The egg is really squishy. He hops on the wall, forced to flash away. There's a resurrecting. Okay, they burned the passive. Here comes Stumpy with the teleport. But they still get the first blood. Bot lane, though, Chris is bleeding. Monster Rugby Gaming are just taking everything on the bot side. Top side is not working as intended.
Yeah, not working as intended at all. As things stand, Ripped and Sidon doing a pretty good job of not only diving Stumpy, killing him, denying a lot of the wave. They also get Chimera's passive. They don't get his flash, whilst it does cost them their own. Still kind of happy about that, as now Denden.
Denden looks for the hook, gets Merbs down. Ignite is shipping away. Balu also with the shield if he needs to. Gabush is looking for the prow. Try to take something. They leave Merbs alone, but it doesn't matter because he burns him down with the Inferno. Looking for Chris as well. Tom Kench doesn't survive this one, as Chris is going to run. So in the end, it's going to be a 1-for-1.
Oh.
Unless Gabush, calm down.
Yeah, picked up that Nautilus form for a second. You had to wonder whether or not he was going to connect on the dredge line. The trades come through. Not too bad for either end. You have to feel it's only supports that go down. Chris, Merbs, Just gonna end up taking resets, getting assists off that. But it is Domino that blowed the teleport to make that play work. It was Munster that were looking for a dive on the bottom lane. So it's Munster expending their time to try and make that play happen, and resources are traded back. So see what exactly can be made happen here. Chimera forced the flash, got phase rush, but gets locked down. Oh!
There's no egg, Jamada, but still not enough damage. They couldn't get another one there. Try to force as much as they can, but the bird survives.
The bird survives, but the wall that comes out is clutch. He stops then from dredge lining him. That was absolutely sick. From Chimera, he might end up missing a little bit of a wave here, but no matter how you slice it, really well played to ensure that he can't get caught up there. As that was 3 members that invested their time into the mid lane. And no kill was actually picked up, as on the bottom side, Munster trying to hold a little bit of a freeze, but will be broken and will start to turn into a slow push now.
And if you're looking to the top, it's almost the same as the last game. You have a top laner with the big lead, but his bot lane is bleeding. We just discussed with the players that you need to get these bots ahead, specifically when you have an hyper carry on one side. Is the Karma bleeding versus in the Fellas? I think she's going for more of a support-ish build, so the AD carry is like it's farming because it's the action on the top. Yeah. But getting this lead for the Fellas, isn't this dangerous?
Probably it's very dangerous. It's kind of a juxtaposition to what we saw last game, where the Aphelios are being starved for resources in game 1. Here in game 2, won't necessarily say being funneled resources, but not being denied resources at all. And certainly being at 58 CS, just a little bit under 7 minutes. 59, 58, Mr. Creep on the end. I was right in the first place. Not going to feel too bad about that at all. And now, actually, Munster hunting for Sidon in his jungle. A 2-level lead. Caboose is already level 6. And I just don't know if Domino can win this fight, because priority in their favor, and Caboose also has level 6.
Sidon is getting way too low. Here comes the Heartbreaker. He's level 6 versus level 4. That is a big gap. Not only they take the ward, they take the kill, and probably looking for the buff. They are not able to do it. Shaolin steals it away and still gets the kill on top of it. When you want too much, but you don't have that belly for it.
Exactly. Caboose just didn't want to give up the red buff. Didn't have stomach for it. Arzin didn't have smite available. Can't lock it down. Now trades will come through in the mid lane, and that's going to chunk out Chimera's health bar. Red buff going to help Shaolin get a little bit of extra chip damage in that as well. And definitely a good invade from Munster, but unfortunately just overstep. Give Shaolin that second kill. And Shaolin on the likes of Arise, we've seen what he's done on it before. Engage on the bottom side. Red and white for Merbs, and level 6 too.
Chris is so low as well, and there we go. Merbs with another one. He's just chipping away. This Aphelios is taking way too much going on the top. It's the turnaround, Jamada.
That's not good for Domino at all. Stumpy finding a solo kill. Being down CS. Stumpy typically just left alone. Hasn't really done too much in many of his laning phases, but finding solo kill into Ripped very commonly, you know, can be lent on Ripped. He's a carry player at the end of the day, more often than he is a tank player, and it's just a great engage then. I'm not too sure. I think, Reed, can we get a replay on that? 'Cause I think what he actually did was animation canceled the wallop.
He smashed him as he was trying to do the heroic swing.
I'm not too sure.
Look at that.
Did it?
He does the heroic swing, but
in the air. Yeah, all right. Yeah, very hard to react to. Not too much you can do about that. Really nice from Stumpy, and just catches Ripped off guard.
And if you had at least one more second, probably with the dirty fighting, that would be another kill, as Denden now is getting caught in the middle of the enemy. He's going to take his sweet time to go down, but his Merbs to take another one. The second kill of the game for this Aphelios. It's not about funneling, just as you said, but it's about getting all those resources. And so far, Aphelios is eating nicely. He's not the Tom Kench, but he's the one filling his belly.
Exactly, that's the thing, right? Like, Munster, they've not necessarily... Oh, it's going to be a pick on blue. But Merbs and Aphelios with Munster, they've not really been feeding him too many resources this game, but he's just been given these things for free, and right now he's about to have to defend the tower dive 2v3 as the teleport comes in. And the threat of the Anivia will push away the invaders. Domino try to go for that tower dive. They will force this teleport at the very least. So
That is a
resource to
good
resources.
reply, but
Yeah.
they burn away a similar spell for a cooldown. Shaolin's cooldown is not that big. The gate for Rise, the ultimate, is not that big. So burning away the teleport could mean something down the line. They have a few minutes to use this one in their favor as Shaolin goes into the mid lane, tries to push in, trying to look for that plate as well. I don't know if he'll be able to get it. Chimera wants to stop him, but well, a little bit too late. There you go, 160 gold being donated for this ride. Who's just power farming at this point. Is he? Yeah, he's the top of the farming so far. 10 minutes in, 91 minions. He just wants to take as much farm as he wants.
Yeah, exactly. Doing a pretty good job. Sizable CS lead between him and Chimera, 20, like you highlight. As bottom side, blue forced to flash away. Sidon will turn away from the play. And I mean, the pressure's nice, but at the end of the day, no tangible yields from these ganks. Thus far, it feels like when Domino have put their numbers down towards the bottom side, they just haven't really found anything. Only really found success in that initial dive, and I'm surprised that we didn't just see more repeat, more return ganks, because I mean, sure, Ripped is finding his own way in the top side matchup, but at the end of the day, I think you just continue to throw your bodies up there. Don't let Stumpy play the game. Give yourself this really fed action, or at the very least, maybe even just go towards Shaolin lane. But so far, Munster can probably look at the map state, look at the game state, and feel relatively happy. Because again, you have to remember how these comps are going to work into each other. If Munster get the setup into any of these objectives, I mean, good luck walking into an Anivia through chokes when you don't have too much hard engage. It's just so difficult. Gaboosh could have been the victim of a bit of a face check.
They need to set up the vision. The Drake is online as well. This could be the second one for Munster Rugby Gaming, but I believe Domino are willing to fight for this one. Taking a lot of damage from the Dragon, though. They have the vision, they have the scuttle as well. As they're looking for Balo, they're looking for Merbs. They know that some of the spells are down on the bot side. But look at this.
Yep.
Way too fast, and the wall is more than enough to stop Sidon from attempting to take the steal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just split focus from Domino. They want to make the play on the bottom side, but then the Dragon gets stolen away from them. That's a massive flash, but Knockup's still there.
Knockup is there, and they take the first one as Ripped is trying to take the second one. Goes across the wall with the heroic swing. He takes his sweet time to kill him. Merbs finally goes down, but look at the expense of that. They take a kill for 3 in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Munster, they're just using the fog there from Gaboosh quite well. And yeah, I think Sidon, dead to well, dead to right. So that's a lot of healing from Subjugate and the Smite.
He's not letting this one go, and that was one of the most interesting interactions that I've ever seen. He brought in the Chain of Karma, and even though it was no longer a Karma, it stayed on.
It's one of those things with Viego where there's not really too many tethers, but for example, if you use LeBlanc, the exact same thing should happen as well. Yeah. If you land the Ethereal Change, cast your ultimate, the Ethereal Change will still channel through. This Hex Slash not going to quite connect on Stumpy there from Den, and healing was quite huge from Sidon, but yeah, not enough to deal with how much damage Gaboosh was able to put out. And definitely a much better looking Munster than what we saw on Tuesday. And I think definitely the insight that we got from Gaboosh, very interesting as well. Basically just saying, yeah, we were a little bit too overconfident on Tuesday. A little bit, won't say ego, but oh, Gaboosh, face checking.
Oh, Gaboosh doing the same you were talking about. Too confident to go into the enemy jungler. Balo getting himself with the ultimate away. Gaboosh gets himself into safety as the Herald is going to connect with the turret. But Merbs, I think he was way too far.
Merbs didn't get the auto attack in. Yeah, a little bit too far. We'll pick up one more plate on the back of it, but Ripped should be here to clear that one up. But I mean, honestly, given how fed Gaboosh is, feeding him even more gold, the extra 320, that's going to feel okay. It's not going to feel too bad, but definitely you wanted those resources onto your Aphelios, and now Chimera in a spot above, but he's one-shotting Chris.
But then Denden appears to help him. Gaboosh as well, they lock in the first. Chimera going way too low, he still has the egg, so he's not in jeopardy. Denden getting his heart broken, and another soul delivered for Gaboosh. At this point with 5 kills in game, 14 minutes, this jungler is just taking them on face off. They took 2 dragons as well, and the bounties are already available at 14 minutes, Yamada.
Yep, available almost as soon as they could be. And as a reminder, because I know sometimes people forget how these bounties do work, they scale off of objectives owned, plus of course the natural factors that you would imagine, things like gold difference and additionally XP. That's how bounties are calculated. So whilst the gold difference is only 3k, and you may have seen, quite a few amount of larger gold differences where the bounties weren't activated. That is why Munster have 2 dragons, a herald, and an additional tower on top of that. For that to trigger. But now it's an opportunity for Domino to actually pick up those bounties, because at the end of the day, towers tier 1 still very much possible, or a possibility. Domino not going to get in range of Merbs. I mean, Merbs had red and white, though not too much ammo in that Severum. Could have maybe made a meal of that.
He has the Gale Force. No flash available. That it was the window that Domino wanted to take, but not fast enough. Allowing Chimera to go into the mid, take the T1 for themselves in the mid line. Opening up the map, and we're talking about this team needs vision. Domino needs vision. They want to fight off versus Munster Gaming, and they are being removed away from that vision. This is the second herald as well that Gabush is doing. So mostly every single objective in this map has been controlled by Gabush. Sidon is having a really tough time appearing in this game when Gabush has a performance like this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think now we turn the spotlight over to Domino. It's the opportunity maybe as the map opens up a bit to try and find some kind of turnaround. This tower should drop, but they're actually looking for the dive. Stumpy, however, about to time into Mega now. Yeah, and the Hull Breaker resistances. Which, to be fair, I mean, that's more resistance for Sidon to actually sap away.
Touché.
Think about it like that.
Dominations are going to be bigger for Sidon in terms of resistance. Loses the Mega Gnar, but I don't think they're capable of locking down the Gel versus Gnar. You have Balu on the bot as well, and Gabush was there to help, so it would be a 3v2 at this point. Now, looking into the mid, the items are appearing. We get the Ludens on Chimera. Because there's not a lot of tanky characters. You have Sidon as a Trundle. You have Denden as well as Nautilus. But do you go for the Leandris? No, he wants to get that damage going on. He wants the Glacial Storm to hit and not the Leandris to hit. He wants to chip away them fast, and the Frostbite to just remove a limb or other. Sometimes it happens as in Nivea. You're walking across the map, you get caught in the jungle, and you lose a leg.
No, exactly. Definitely interesting. I might quiz him on that. I don't think I've seen many Anivias go into that Ludens. But definitely, like you say, the top half of the map, that's a lot of damage for a Moonstone Karma, by the way. The top half of the map, not particularly tanky. Sidon's really only going to be sapping resources from the 2 tanks of Munster, and then Aftershock support, definitely capable. This teleport comes into defend the dive on the top side. Realm Warp was cast by Shaolin. And Gabush continually, as a secondary carry, gets even more gold. And look at the minimap. He's entirely isolated on the bottom side of the map. Munster know this. He's just going to pick up a tier 2 for free. That's 600 gold. He can get a 3rd charge if he really wants to. I mean, hell, might even be able to go the whole distance of the inhibitor. As Domino, they continue to go for this play. Chimera dies. Stumpy in trouble as well.
This is not going to happen. I think this is not going to happen. Balu goes way too deep, but I think he's buying enough time. They take the second turret or the 3rd turret as the point. They need to go back. The inhibitor is also in jeopardy.
He's gonna die because of the creeps. I mean, it would be in Domino's best interest to maybe leave it by 18.5 minutes. I think it's a tough call. I think it's a little bit... It's in that weird limbo where if you leave it right now, it's on the bottom side of the map. Munster, they're so strong that they can maybe eye up a Baron within that inhibitor duration. So they just don't want to have to deal with the potential pressure. And I mean, that next dragon fight comes up in 3 minutes' time. If that inhibitor's, sending super minions through the bottom lane and you lose that team fight, you just lose the game on the spot. So I think in this instance, correct call to at the very least, not let the inhibitor go down, but losing 3 towers, Gabush so fed. Actually, how much gold does everybody have? More specifically, the Viego, 2.6 thousand.
Look at the difference between jugglers.
4,000, the gold difference. But this is something that Munster do. If it's not the gold going into Merbs, more often than not, it ends up going into Gabush. As what are we hovering? What are we hovering here?
Just
the difference in items. Yeah, no, I agree. It's an item and effectively, a half if you want to consider a pickaxe and a dagger as its own sort of individual component here. Sidon very, very far behind on Gabush, 3 levels down as well. But again, it's something Munster do. They do lean on Gabush to carry if it's not Merbs. Very talented player.
And it's working, Jamada. It is working at this point. 5-1-3 at this point. Took down the turret, and now trying to take down Denden as both members, 3 members now faces the Nautilus, but Sidon comes in to help. Gabush is here to wreak havoc as Sidon's just tanking away the front line. It's not enough. Merbs burns him down as Gabush takes another soul. And looking at the jungler, 20 minutes in, they have the lead. Stumpy may build a little bit of a rage, and maybe, who knows, goes for the Baron.
Yeah, I think the Baron, definitely the right call. Stumpy, don't even think he necessarily needs that rage bar filled up because Sidon's dead. Domino, they're not going to be contesting this one. And this feels like more of the Domino that we, or rather the Munster Rugby that we know. As kind of spoken about on Tuesday, their performance and their draft, just a little bit off character from what we'd become accustomed to. This time around, no nonsense from Munster. It does have to be said, it feels like Domino just not really been too proactive in trying to find their own leads too heavily or too consistently. I'll say outside of that early dive, it just felt like they kind of been allowing Munster to get away with, I wouldn't say daylight robbery, but I also feel like they've been contesting as heavily as perhaps they could have been.
Now with this lead, now with the Baron, it is to Munster Rugby Gaming to take whatever they want. Probably the soul, the mountain soul. Because it's already hard to kill these guys, to bring them down. And if you have a mountain soul alongside with that shield, it's going to be even harder. The Anivia with the rebirth alongside with a mountain soul is going to be ridiculous if you want to take her down. So Rip now taking matters into his own hands as he wants to get the split push. But on the other side, it's a Hullbreaker Gnar. He has the teleport available as well. The Rage is going down, so it's going to be a mini Gnar versus the Aksha. Oh, almost spots him with the sweeper, but just not enough. As I believe Stumpy is looking for the soul rather than just pushing the lane.
Exactly. As for now, like you say, Munster not too pressed about finding major individual leads. Not too much left on the map to take outside of the soul as highlighted. And for now, Domino, they're trying to eye up this 3-man dive on the top side, but I just don't know if it's even going to work. And even if it does, Munster, they'll just push through mid, they'll push through bot. I think they'll be quite comfortable to do that. And that would, more times than not, I feel, end up being a loss for Domino.
Okay, as I was sitting down because, you know, I cast standing up. And there you go. I'm standing up again as we jump back into the game.
It's very funny to know.
Oh, Stumpy, really lonely. Everybody collapsing on him, but not enough damage to do anything as the Hullbreaker is giving him the resistances. And also the courage because the team is pushing bot side. It's not even the team, it's only Kometa doing a solo job on the bot side for those turrets. You know, Chris tries to defend Denon as well, but the mid lane is being pushed, it's being completely wide open as the inhibitor might fall down as well. 2 inhibitors with the soul as well. 23 minutes in, Munster Rugby Gaming are looking to finish this one.
Yeah, they are indeed. 2 inhibs, Baron buff. However, Chimera is out of mana.
Oh, he wants to go back in. Baloo, you crazy! But that's more than enough as Gabush goes into the middle of the enemy.
Dredge line.
And now taking the soul of the Nautilus, taking the anchor as well, getting the second one. Baloo does another jump into the middle. Sidon getting fairly low, ripped apart from his body. And Stumpy now joins the party as Munster Rugby Gaming are looking to get 12 wins during the split.
Yeah, they're looking to recover from that loss on the Tuesday night. Definitely saying, all right, guys, we might have slipped up once. Now that we become that 11-0 team, removing that first loss from the beginning of the split, we won't allow a 0-2 week as Domino weren't quite able to stand up to the might. As
More than
next
enough for them. Tell me.
Tell you.
No, you wanted to talk, so I'm letting you talk. Tell me.
Oh, which now the loss for light side feels a little less worse. If we think about the standings, of course, Domino not able to keep up with Rate at the very least, and now Lucent will play London United, which is going to be another very important match after this one. Where again, for London, if they win, they catch up to Lightside. Maybe hopes of a late playoff run begin to creep into their minds. And of course, for Lucent, it's another one of those things where they stay below that kind of what feels like rising line of safety for playoffs contention.
So this is an important game. Monster Rugby Gaming are comfortable for the playoffs. We already talked about it. It's mostly about seeding at this point, and with this game, it's almost like I got first. Tell me, you're pointing to
Yeah,
something.
I think with
I
that,
think
when
they
they
lock in.
mathematically lock in playoffs, first place is still one more win, I believe. Now,
Okay, there you go. Because I think it's really close, but yeah, okay, there you go. Probably one more victory is more than enough to secure themselves the first seed. Obviously, they still have a lot of games, not a lot of games, but they still have a few games to play ahead of them. But the way they're playing and the way they recovered from the previous game, I think they're locking in the first seed. For the remaining teams, obviously, as you told us, Domino slipping on this one, allowing Light Side to wait. Can I go? Can I join you guys upstairs? There we go. So the middle of the pack is going to be exciting moving on. But to move on, we need to talk with the players. So what about if we make a quick break and I'll be right back with you?